Krystal Everdeen, and today I'm going to show you how to crochet this floral crochet top. For this project I used white yarn, red yarn, and green yarn. You're mostly going to need white yarn, and since this is all just like random yarn, and because I never actually keep track of how much yarn I use, I have no idea how much yarn I used for this project. But I know that each one of these yarns are size 4 and I am using a size 5mm hook. Oh, and also the yarn is 100% acrylic. And the very first thing that I did to create this top was create a slip knot and then work on the cup portion. Now, in order to make a cup, I chain 10, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and then I go back on that chain with a single crochet, and I'm going to pretty much skip over most of how to crochet a cup just because I've done it so many times in a bunch of different crochet tutorials, and 2, I actually have a beginner friendly crochet tutorial that slowly goes through the steps on how to crochet a cup, and I will link that in the description box below just in case you have any trouble making this part. So after I've gone down the row with my single crochet, I'm going to chain 1, flip the project over, go into the very first stitch of the new row, and then continue on to the other side with another row of single crochet. And if you are a complete beginner to crochet, I have a Crocheting for Beginners video that I will also link in the description box below. I would suggest to first go ahead and watch that, practice with those stitches for a bit, maybe try a more beginner friendly crochet project. I have a ton of them, and then once you are warmed up to crochet and how I specifically teach, then you can come back to this one. So now that I've reached the end of the row here, I'm actually going to work like this, vertically as opposed to horizontally as you normally would, and start crocheting down here, and then back up, and then down here, and then back up, like so, in order to make the cup. And every time you reach this point of your project now, you're actually going to go into the middle stitch and create 3 single crochets inside of that middle stitch, and the reason that we are doing that is so you can create a point. So you can't really tell right now, but after a few back and forth rows, eventually you'll see that it's going to be more of a triangular shape. So this part's going to be wide, and then this part is going to be a point, because you're going to continue making 3 single crochets inside of the point. And after you've done that, you're just going to go down the row over here until you reach the end of the row. And again, if this is too fast for you, I have that beginner friendly tutorial on how to make a cup in the description box below. So check out the description box below if you want some more beginner friendly tutorials, since this is going a little bit faster. So once you reach the end here, like I said, you're going to make sure that you go into the very last stitch, and then you're going to chain 1, flip it over, make sure that you go into the very first stitch, and then work your way back up to the point that I talked about earlier. And once you reach that point, you're going to single crochet 3 times, and then work your way back down to the very last stitch, chain 1, work your way back up, make 3 single crochets, work your way back down to the very last stitch, chain 1, flip it over, go into the very first stitch, work your way back up, 3 single crochets inside of the middle stitch right here, and work your way down, and so on and so forth, until you're happy with the size of the cup. So this is what my project looks like after a number of rows. Now normally I would tell you to continue making rows and rows of single crochet until you put the project against yourself and you're happy with the coverage. However, in this case we're going to actually make the cup a little bit smaller than you normally would. Leave about an inch more of space because this is where we're going to add the floral design, and you don't want the cup to already be the size that you want it to be and then add the design, so it's going to be humongous. So yeah, just leave about an inch of space, so make the cup an inch smaller than you normally would. And now we're going to continue from here and add in the green yarn for the flower stems. And in order to do that, I'm just going to continue from where I left off in the cup. And again, if you are having trouble figuring out how to crochet the cup, check out the video in the description box below. It's going to be a beginner-friendly video on how to crochet a cup, and I'm sure you'll find that really helpful. Yeah, so that's just how I attach the yarn here. You can attach it however way you want. You could tie a knot, you could just do what I did, or you can use another method. But anyway, from here I'm going to go into the third stitch from the side of the cup, and I'm going to create 2 double crochets. So this is going to be 1 double crochet and then 2 double crochets inside of this 1 stitch with a little gap in between. And in the next row, within this little gap here, we're going to make the red flower. So yeah, so after you created 2 double crochets inside of that stitch, you're going to skip 2 stitches, go into the third stitch and create another set of double crochets. 1 double crochet and 2 double crochets. So it's going to look something like this. And then we're going to just continue doing that throughout the rest of the cup. Create 2 double crochets in here, skip 2 stitches, create 2 double crochets in here, and so on and so forth until you go all around the cup. And 2 double crochets right here, 1 and 2. And then you skip 2 stitches, go into this stitch, and 2. Then you skip 2 stitches, go into this stitch, and it gets a little bit confusing when it comes to the point of the cup. So I'm just going to show you what I would do. I would go into the point of the cup here and create 2 double crochets on the point right here, and then skip 2 stitches and create 2 double crochets in this stitch right here, and that's what it should look like. And you're just going to continue doing that till you get to the end. And then once you reach the end, then we're going to attach the red yarn and make the flowers. So now that I've reached the end here, I'm going to go into the very last stitch and just create 1 double crochet just to finish it off. And then I'm going to cut the yarn from the yarn ball, leaving a little bit of yarn left over. That way it's a little bit easier for me to attach the next color using the old color. So that's how I attach it. I'm just going to put them both on the hook and then chain, and now the red is kind of attached to the green as well. I'm just going to continue crocheting with that, and now we're going to make the cute little flowers. So in between the 2 double crochets that you made in the previous row, that's where we're going to make 3 double crochets inside of. So 1, 2, and 3. And it doesn't look like flowers at first because you need to add the little detail in the next row that we're going to work on. But yeah, that's how you make the flowers. So from there, you're just going to reach on over to the next opening of the 2 double crochets we made in the previous row, and you're going to make another set of 3 double crochets inside of that opening. So 3. And then we're going to move on to the next opening right over here, and we're going to make 1, 2, and 3 double crochets in that opening as well. And this is what it looks like so far. Again, it doesn't really look like flowers yet, and they look all bunched up together, but we're going to fix that in the following rows. So yeah, just go ahead and do this all over the cup, go all around the cup and make these little flowers that are again just comprised of 3 double crochets inside of the opening of the 2 double crochets you made in the previous row. And then you're going to reach on over, go on to the next opening and make 3 double crochets, and you're just going to do that all around the cup till you reach the other side. So now that I've gone all around the cup, creating my little flower pieces comprised of 3 double crochets inside of 1 opening of double crochets, I'm going to complete the row by going into the very last stitch of the cup and just making 1 double crochet. And then I'm going to cut the yarn from the yarn ball, reattach the white yarn, and do that the way I normally do, just with a chain. And from here I'm going to single crochet my way all along the cup. And by single crocheting in this row, you'll be able to make the little flower designs like this. Because the white goes in between the stitches, it kind of makes the little pointed flower design. And then it also cancels out the red in between the flowers, so they actually look like flowers and not just like one big jumble of red. So yeah, make sure that you give yourself enough space to also be able to add in this layer of white, or rather this row of white, in order to really enhance the look of the flowers. So from here you're just going to go all around the cup and create single crochet all around it. So 1 last row of single crochet with the white yarn, and this time when you go all around the cup, when you reach the point here, you're actually going to make the strap. Well, you don't really have to. You can make the strap whenever you like. You could attach the straps after you're done crocheting the whole project, but I like to make the strap as I'm making the cup, because in addition to it serving as a neck strap, I also like to cross it across my back and make a corset-like design at the back, so it's all just one giant strap. So I'm going to make sure that I go into the middle stitch here, and then I'm going to chain 150 chains, and then go back on the chain with a slip stitch so that I'm back here when I'm done with it. And I'm going to continue with my single crochet all the way down the cup. So like I said, I chained 150 chains, then went back on it with a slip stitch just to make it a little bit thicker and more cushiony, and also so I wouldn't have to cut the yarn from the yarn ball and then reattach it over here. I just slip stitched my way over back to where I was, and now I'm going to complete the rest of the row of single crochet by single crocheting my way down the cup and to the very end right here. And once I've reached the very end, I'm going to detach the yarn from the yarn ball and then do it all over again for the second cup. And after I've created the second cup, then I'm going to attach both cups, and I will show you how I do it. It's very simple. And after I've attached both cups, then we're going to work on the bottom portion of the crop top. And yeah, so I'm just going to finish up the row of single crochet right here, making sure that I go into all the stitches. That way I can make the red double crochets from the previous row look more like flowers. And now this is the last little cluster of double crochets and the last stitch over here. I'm just going to cut the yarn from the yarn ball now. Actually, I've already made my first cup and this is my second cup, so I'm just going to show you how to attach them now. So since I've left off over here on this side, all I'm going to do now is put them close together where I want them to be attached, and then just slip stitch them together like so. And if that's not enough, then I just add one more stitch of a single crochet so that they're like really nice and attached. And boom, you have two cups attached together. And Now we can work on the bottom portion of the top, which is going to be right here. So yeah, once you've attached them in the middle, then you're good to go. Since it's going to be a crop top, then from here, we're actually going to detach the yarn from the yarn ball and then reattach it to either of the sides of the cup. So just a quick little update. The project looks like this so far. It looks really, really nice. I actually really am proud of how it's coming out so far, and I'm excited to see the final outcome. But anywho, I have reattached the yarn to this side of one of the cups, and I'm going to chain 15, and the reason I'm going to chain 15 is because that's how many chains I normally chain in order for my crochet top to wrap around one of my rib cages from right here to right over here. But of course, every body is different, so you may need to chain more or less chains for this portion of the top. Just like when you make the cup, yours is going to probably be a different size than mine, so that's one of the reasons I don't ever actually count chains or rows or anything, because it all depends. It depends on your body, your preference, what you're trying to create. And yeah, but for this one, I'm just letting you guys know that I chain 15 and it wraps around my rib perfectly without being too long or too short. So after I have chained 15, I'm going to go back on it with a single crochet, and once I have completely gone back on the 15 chains that I just created from the side of the cup, I'm going to actually approach the cup. And once I do, I'm going to continue with my row of single crochet all across the cup. So now that I've reached the cup here, this is the bottom of it. I'm going to single crochet all across this one, through the center, and then all across the second cup. Go to the other side, and once I reach the other side, I'm going to chain another 15 chains and then continue with yet another row of single crochet. And when you're crocheting across the bottom of the cup, it may be a little bit more difficult just because there's no set stitches to go into. It's a little bit jagged, but after this first row of single crochet, then everything else is going to be way easier because you're crocheting this row of single crochet. So for the next row, you just easily be able to go into these stitches. So yeah, just make your way across both of the bottom of the cups until you reach the other side, and then once you reach the other side, you're going to chain 15 or however many chains you need in order for the portion of the top to wrap around you like so. And then from there, we're going to create a couple more rows of single crochet with just the white yarn, and then we're going to make one more or possibly two more rows or flower designs. We'll see how much green yarn I have left over because it's still pretty small, but it might be able to be enough to create two flower designs, so we will see. You will already know because you've seen the thumbnail, but I do not know yet because this is the very first time I am making this top, and I'm kind of making everything up as I go along. So hopefully it turns out really cute. Alrighty then, I'm going to go ahead and finish this part up, then chain another 15 chains, then go back on it with another row of single crochet, and then I will get back to you. So this is what the project looks like so far. We had started right over here, and then we chained 15 and went back on that chain with a single crochet, went all the way across, and then chained another 15 on this side, and then went back on it with another row of single crochet, went all the way across, and now we are back over here. Now this is the part where you get to decide how long you want your top to be. I want mine to be a crop top, just barely covering my ribs, but if you want yours to be a full top, then all you have to do is create more rows. A lot of people ask me in the comments, how am I supposed to make a top longer? And my answer is, you make it longer by making more rows. I honestly do not understand why people get so confused, but yeah, this part, you just make more of it if you don't want it as short as how I make it. So this is the part where you're going to decide how many rows you want to make depending on how long you want the top to be. So at the end of each row, I'm just going to chain one, go into the first stitch of the new row and then create another row of single crochet. And again, I want mine to be a crop top, so I'm only going to make 3 rows of single crochet from the bottom of the cups, and then I'm going to add in my floral design. Now, I was trying to figure out if I can just do the design from here, but I have found out that no, I can't, because then it would be upside down, because from here, if I did it the same way I did it on the cup, I would make the stem and then the rose, and the flower would be upside down, because when I flip it this way, the stem will be here and then the rose will be right here. So I will actually need to crochet my rows of single crochet however wide I want to make it. And then I'm going to detach the yarn from the yarn ball and then create my pattern. And after I create my floral pattern, I'm just going to attach it right here. And then that'll be the end of me crocheting this crochet top. So it's a little bit different than what I normally do. Normally I just crochet the design straight from here, but since the flower will be upside down if I do that, then I'm going to have to make it separately and then just reattach it to the crochet top. So that's what I'm going to do. So I'm just going to make 3 or 4 rows of single crochet here, and then I'm going to crochet the design. I'm going to show you how I do that, and I'm going to attach it to this. And yes, I'm just going to finish up my row or rows of single crochet. I haven't decided if I'm going to make 1 more or 2 more, and then after that I'm going to detach the yarn from the yarn ball and then check back in with you. Alrighty, so just for reference, I made 3 rows of single crochet at the bottom of the cups, and then I detached the yarn from the yarn ball, so we're just going to put that aside for now, and then grab our white, red, and green yarn again to make the pattern. And I'm going to start off from the bottom, and the bottom row is going to be 2 rows of single crochet, so it's just going to be white. And I'm going to chain as many chains as I need to in order for it to match up with my top here. So depending on how wide your top is, that's how many chains you need to make. All you really need to do is keep chaining until you put the chain against the bottom of your top and it's the same length. So now that I have chained a chain that is as long as the bottom of my crochet top, I'm going to go back on the chain with a single crochet and crochet either 2 or 3 rows of single crochet. I may go with 3 rows of single crochet just to match the top portion right here. But again, this is totally up to you. If you want the white gaps in between your rose designs to be wider, then make more rows of single crochet. If you want it to be thinner, then make less rows of single crochet. And yeah, again, I'm only going to make either 1 or 2 rows of the flowers. But if you want this top to not be a crop top and you want it to be longer, then you can make more of it. Again, this is totally up to you. I'm only going to crochet up to like right here, but you can just keep going with the same exact pattern and make it longer. And yours won't be a crop top, it'll be a full top if that's what you want. So yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and finish the row or rows of single crochet and then check back in with you once I'm ready to add in the rose design. So now that I've completed 3 rows of single crochet, the project looks like this. Now to add the green yarn, I'm going to attach the yarn as I normally do by just bringing it onto my hook, chaining 1, and then continuing to use the new color for the next row. And again, we're going to start doing the stems. So to do the stems, again, you need to make 2 double crochets inside of 1 stitch. So I'm going to make 1, and then I'm going to make the second one right next to it inside of the same exact stitch. Then I'm going to skip 2 stitches, go into that 3rd stitch and make 2 double crochets inside of that 1 stitch. And then after I've done that, I'm going to skip 2 stitches and then create another set of double crochets, double crochets inside of that 1 stitch, and the project should look something like this, with a little bit of an opening in between the 2 double crochets that you're making in every stitch. Then you're going to skip 2 stitches and then make another set of double crochets, skip 2 stitches, make another set of double crochets, and so on and so forth until you reach the end of the row. And then once you do, then we can go ahead and switch the color to red and start making the little red flowers. So I'm just going to continue making the double crochets, skipping 2 stitches in between, making 2 double crochets inside 1 stitch, skipping 2 stitches in between, so on and so forth until the end of the row. So now that I've reached the end of the row here, I'm going to just go into the very last stitch and make 1 double crochet just to finish it off, and this is what the project looks like so far. Just a whole row of 2 double crochets inside of 1 stitch, and then skipping 2 stitches, and then 2 double crochets inside of 1 stitch, and so on and so forth. So I'm just going to cut the yarn from the yarn ball, and then I'm going to grab my red yarn and attach it so that I can start making the little flowers. I'm going to put them on the hook, chain 1, flip the project over, and then go into the opening of the first set of double crochets in the previous row and make 3 double crochets inside of that opening to make the little flower. So that's 2 double crochets, and then inside the same opening, going ahead and making the 3rd double crochet, and that's a little flower. That doesn't look like a flower right away, but once you add that row of white, then it looks much more like a flower. So 2 double crochets and 3 double crochets inside of this opening, and then I'm going to head over to the next set of double crochets of the previous row and make another set of 3 double crochets with my red yarn inside of that opening. Reach on over to the next opening and making 3 double crochets inside of that opening, and so on and so forth until I reach the end of the row. And this is what it looks like. So you're just going to continue with that pattern until you've reached the end, and then after that we're going to reattach the white yarn and add a few rows of single crochet on top of that, and if I think I have enough green yarn, I will make another row of flowers and then attach it to the bottom of my crochet top. So now that I've completed my row of flowers, I'm going to go ahead and continue with my row of the white space, I guess. And in order for me to do that, I'm going to finish off this row by going into the very last stitch of the row and then making 1 last double crochet just to finish it off, and then reattaching the white yarn that I actually never cut from the yarn ball and just reattaching it like so, and then flipping the project over and making my next row of single crochet the same way that I made it for the cups. So they could, well, the flowers could be more defined. Yay! Little flowers, how cute! And I don't think I actually mentioned to you guys that the spaces in between the flowers, I actually make 2 single crochets and then 1 single crochet inside of the stitches, and then in between I make 2 single crochets and then 1 single crochet inside of the regular stitches, and then in the gap I make 2 single crochets, and so on and so forth. And yeah, so since I made 3 rows of single crochet down here, I want it to be even, so I'm going to make 3 rows of single crochet on top of the flowers, and then after that I think I have enough green yarn for another row of the flower design, so I think I'm going to do that. And after I finish the second row of flowers in this section, and then I'm going to attach it to the cups, and then I'll be done with my crochet top, and then all I would have to do next would be to lace my straps at the back, and then I'd be completely done with the crochet top. So now that I've added another 3 rows of single crochet with the white yarn, I'm going to make another set of flowers, again with the last of my green yarn and then the red yarn, and then I'm going to attach it to this portion of the top. So I'm going to attach the green yarn as I normally do, and then I'm going to start off my new row by making those 2 double crochets inside of 1 stitch. And I'm going to then skip 2 stitches, and then in that 3rd stitch I'm going to create a set of double crochets inside of that same stitch and continue with this pattern all the way down the row. And then once I reach the end of the row, that's when I'm going to attach the red yarn and do another row of red flowers. So I actually wasn't filming the beginning, but essentially I finished this portion of the top, just the design, and before I put in the layer of white at the top of the roses, I decided to just attach it. So from here I just attached the white yarn to both the bottom of the top right here, just the white part, and then also through the red rose, and I slip stitched them together, kind of like how I did it right here, and I attached them. And after I attached them, now I'm just single crocheting through both of them so that they are attached, and that's where I am right now. Right now I am right here single crocheting my way across to attach them, and it's quite tedious. That's why I didn't want to unravel it and then do it all over again, even though I wasn't filming. But yeah, I'm just going to go through the white part, then go through the red part, and then single crochet, and then go through the white part, go through the red part, and single crochet, the white part, and the red part, and this is the gap where I make the 2 single crochets. So I'm going to the same stitch and then through the gap right here and make another single crochet, and then through the white part, and then through the red flower and single crochet, the white part, the red flower, single crochet, the white part, the red flower, single crochet, and then another single crochet inside of that same gap. And then just continue doing that until it's all nice and attached to the very end. So now that I have reached the end and attached the 2 pieces together, I'm now going to cut the yarn from the yarn ball and seal the project by putting my hook through the last loop, bringing in the excess yarn through the loop, and then giving it a tug. And now you are completely done crocheting the top, and it looks something like this. So now we're going to lace up the straps, and the way that I like to do it is I first need to decide which side is going to be the front and which side is going to be the back, and once I decide it, then I flip the project over to the back side, and I grab 1 strap, bring it over to the opposite side, attach it to the top portion of the bottom portion of the crop top, and then I bring the strap through using my hook and across to the other side, and once I'm on the other side I attach it to the middle portion of the bottom portion of the top, and then I bring it through with my hook. Then lastly I bring it back to the original side one last time and attach it to the bottom portion of the top. And then after I've attached that strap, I'm going to go ahead and grab the other strap and do the exact same thing but on the opposite side. So I'm going to bring it over across the top and then attach the strap to the top portion of the bottom portion of the top, and then I'm going to reach it over to the opposite side and attach it to the middle portion of the bottom portion of the top. And yes, this is why we needed to make a super duper long strap. And lastly, I'm going to bring it back over to the opposite side one last time and attach it to the bottom portion of the top. And once that is all nice and laced through, then you are completely done with your top, and you just crocheted a lovely floral crop top. And it should look something like, I think this design came out really cute, and it's perfect for spring and summer. I absolutely love the way the little flowers turned out. It's so cute. I love the colors, and I just pretty much love everything about it, and I hope you do too, and you had a lot of fun learning how to crochet this top, and I hope that you enjoy it. If you did enjoy this video, found it interesting, entertaining, or helpful, please give it a big thumbs up before you go. And also check out a bunch of other crochet tutorials that I have on my channel. So thank you so much if you do love it. Thank you for subscribing and being here. Please don't forget to click that red subscribe button if you have not already, so I can see you next time. Bye!